So let me pick your brain for just a minute. Oh my gosh. Okay. Let's say I have two things, and I don't know what those things are. I'll call them A and B, that are multiplied together. And when I multiply them together, I get 0. I'm setting up a scenario for you, okay? So I've got this scenario, two things multiply together to give you 0. Tell me what you know. Tell me what you can conclude from that. James, I saw your hand first.
It has to be 0.
Good job. One or both have to be 0. There is no other way to get 0 when you multiply two things together unless one or both of them is 0. So we all agree that then A equals 0 and or B equals 0. Does that make sense to you? Okay. That is the 0 product property. So, this would be nice. Let's take this concept and apply it to our factoring. So let's say now, instead of just, and this is what I'm teaching you my Algebra 1s right now, the difference in an expression. This is an algebraic expression. It has variables, numbers, and operations. Now I'm going to make it into an equation, which means what?
An equal sign.
It has an equal sign. So I'm going to take the same one we did for our warm-up. And I'm going to say it equals 0. Now, we factored it earlier, right?
Yeah.
When we factored it, we had, let's see, 3x squared multiplies to 15, adds to 8, so we got 5x minus 3x plus 5. And I'm just running through here, factoring it quickly. You've already got this done.
And you just did this in your head?
She got that at the top.
She's a math teacher.
She's super smart.
Y'all stop. Okay, this is what we got when we factored it, yes?
Yeah.
All right. So now look, do you agree that I have two things being multiplied together to give me 0?
Yes.
So if I asked you to solve this for x, what do you think you could do?
One of them is.
One of them has got to be 0, or both of them has got to be 0. If this piece right here came out to be 0, it would make that equation true, yes?
Yeah.
And if this piece came out to be 0, it would make that equation true, yes? So if I set, yeah. So if I set each one of those equal to 0 and solve them, I will find my two solutions. And yes, these have two solutions. And we're going to talk about why in just a minute. Add 5, divide by 3, add 1, and there we go. Does that make sense?
So basically, the movie that will probably just like open to 0, whatever our answer.
Well, right. But now they'll already be in the form of equations. We'll talk about that. But I want you to think about, remember I keep rewinding us back to 1, 1 and 1, 2. I want you to think graphically, okay? If I had graphed 3x squared minus 8x plus 5 in standard form, right? It's on my graph. Now, look at my equation. I set my equation equal to 0. So what did I substitute 0 for? If I'm talking about graphing. For y, right? When you plug in a 0 for y, what are you finding?
X.
X-intercepts. So by setting an equation equal to 0 and solving for x, I have found the zeros of the function. These are what we call zeros of the function, or the x-intercepts. So last night when you were changing from standard form to intercept form, you do that so that we can find those x-intercepts, find where they cross the x-axis. Does that make sense? Good. Okay, so let's look at a couple. What if they don't already equal 0? So let's see. Let's try to solve. We'll go easy to start.
No, I wasn't challenged.
Oh, we will, don't worry. So your only directions for this say solve for x. Okay? When we have a quadratic that we want to solve for x, solving quadratics. Oh, it's almost time for y'all to do your little video.
What video?
Oh, some of us have already heard about it.
What video?
We'll do for extra. It's just for extra credit. I don't know.
I love extra credit.
Oh yeah, I did do that, bro. I'm gonna go with 25.
Ooh.
He's just revealing.
Put that grade on blast, didn't you?
He showed it.
He showed everyone Instagram.
Were you proud of that?
I mean,
He has no secrets.
He's proud.
I mean, like I care, but like,
The first step, the reason I brought up your video, somebody did a video one year that's what they were singing, solving quadratics. Okay, so the first thing we want to do when we're trying to solve a quadratic for x is we want to make sure it equals 0. And the whole rest of this chapter, everything that we do from here on out, is going to be working towards solving quadratics. Because you remember you encountered several that weren't factorable whenever we were factoring. So we talked about what to do in those kind of scenarios also. All right, so the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to make it equal 0. Exactly. So I've got x squared plus 9x plus 20 equals 0. The easiest way to solve a quadratic is if it factors.
How would you solve it from there?
We're going to do it. Yeah. Yeah. I added it to both sides. I just didn't show you here. I'm sorry. I just moved it over. So, can that be factored as well? Does anything multiply to 1 times 20 is 20? Anything multiply to 20 but add to 9?
Yes.
Yes, what?
4 and 5.
4 and 5. Pretty soon, you'll be able to do these ones that are just x squared in the front and no leading coefficient without all the grouping and everything. You'll just be able to do it in your head. What comes out of the first two? What's left? What comes out of the second two? What's left? So I have x.
Wait, I got a question.
Yes.
So when you get that x on the first side, that just carries over to the other side, and the same as the first side?
This x.
Yeah.
When I get that x, I take it out of just the first two.
Subtract it from everything on the other side to be, right?
No. What are you subtracting? Like I took an x away from these two terms only.
Yeah.
I'm not, right now I'm not moving anything, I'm just writing it a different way. Then I look at just these two pieces and I took a 5 out of just those two pieces. So it's still the same thing, I just rotated it back. Right. Well now, I have two things. Thing 1, thing 2. Set each one to 0, yes. Set each factor equal to 0 and solve. I'm green. I think I'll change to blue. You know why? I'm blue. Nobody gets anything I say in here. Okay.
I got it, but it wasn't funny.
Wow. What is she gonna be you?
I didn't hear what you said.
I embarrassed her at lunch today. Shall I tell them what I did?
Yeah.
Do it.
She
Yes.
keeps on coming out during class. You gotta tell her.
Now that you said it, you've got to do it.
You gotta tell her.
You fired first.
Yeah.
Alright, explain. I said x plus 4 equal to 0. I said x plus 5 equal to 0. I'm going to solve each one.
X equals -1.
Yes. Graphically, what does this mean?
And X intercepts -4.
This graph, I know because A is positive, it's going to open up. It's going to cross at -4 and -5, and I don't know what else it's doing, but
No, it's getting grabbed.
yeah.
We got to grab her.
No. I'm trying to get you to make the connection between everything to see the big picture.
Right, I didn't know that. Just like that. Wait, does that mean the next step is like doing this plus finding vertex?
No, we might rearrange some and graph them a different way. The most important part with this are the intercepts. We're going to do a lot with the intercepts and zeros. All right. Let me give you one more.
Another one.
Solve for x. I'm blue.
Oh my god.
All right, so we know we factor for, well, we set it equal to 0, it's already equal to 0. Now, we know we need to factor it. So as I factor it, I need to look for what first? What's the first step before I factor?
Look for the comic right there.
Look for a GCF.
Full ankle true.
X is the GCF. This is probably the easiest problem that we do, but every single semester, everybody asks me about this problem because they don't understand how to solve it. Is it factored?
Yes.
Yes. You can't do anything else with it, right?
Right.
Do you see the two things that are multiplied together to give you 0?
Yeah.
X
X equals 0 is y, x minus 12.
and 5x minus 12.
Uh-oh.
Ow.
Add 12 and divide by 5. So with these, if you can factor and solve. There's just one extra step on there. Y'all see that? We're just setting them equal to 0. I took a long time explaining it because I wanted you to understand why and what we were doing, but tell me what you think. Do we need to do another one or are we okay?
We're
We
good.
are excellent right now.
Yes, sir.